keep calling me. They keep calling me. Keep on calling me. They keep calling me!
Paul! What on earth are you bastardizing this time?
Oh, hey, Eddie.
Paul, we've been over this. It's Edmund. Why are you clowning around, though?
I just saw The Crow. It's such a great film. I loved it.
Oh. Well, I do suppose it handles the consequences of sexual assault in a much more satisfying manner than A Clockwork Orange, for example.
What's that?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Well, it can't be nothing if you brought it up. Why did you bring it up?
Paul, it's really none of your concern.
The real Goths like it too? Ah!
Enough! I have your name. I have your posterior. There would be no guffaws. There would be no tears. And you will learn to stay the royal fuck away from A Clockwork Orange. Do I make myself perfectly clear?
What are you referencing?
Get the fuck out, dude! I gladly shall, sir.
I'm so confused. What the hell is going on here?
We're doing this video.
Hello, YouTube. Acnafane Aconite here, and it feels like yesterday, but it's been a year. Wow. Okay, what a year it's been so far. You know, honestly, the only reason I'm making a follow-up, or at the very least a take two, is, well, firstly, no, not all the points were ever addressed. Some weren't. And not only that, but I just went in blind. So, not just as a goth, but as an audience member for cinema as a whole. You see, not a while after, but, just a short time after, said rant was done, it was also, yeah, of course, back when I was still on Gothic Amino, and, one member by the name of, her name escapes me, but, she reached out to me, and, basically mentioned the same thing that, I heard Malcolm McDowell at some point saying in an interview, was that it was all meant to be just a black comedy. No! No! God fuck it! That's not what I... No. What I meant was that it was meant to be just a darker take on humor. You know, they were trying to present almost in a, I guess, 60s meets 80s Batman camp way, the way that gangs operate, as well as the way that the government handles the abuse, reprimands the ones responsible for it. I just, I went in blind, especially with, not just other goths, but people I saw who were fans of the movie saying, oh, well, Alex is like the ultimate anti-hero. Is he, though? Is he? Is he? Basically everything that I used to, argue against those people somehow went along, not somehow, but just went along some lines of, yeah, but he's a rapist. I guess if I could talk to myself in hindsight, I would have said, yeah, but it's fictional. Because, yeah, no, not only is goth all music based at the end of the day anyhow, but it was a damn distraction, in hindsight, just thinking, oh, how can so many goths in the scene, you know, praise the hell out of Eric Draven like an actual anti-hero? who, yeah, while his moral compass is a tad askew, committing murder left and right, he still had good intentions with it, you know. But then they just do a 180 and, start talking about Alex, this fucking gang leading ass that just, you know, he's the villain. He's at least one villain. I don't think any of those characters were ever meant to be likable. Not really. Um, and I still stand by my words about it not being in any way gothic, much less a goth film. Gypsy 83 is what you should be looking for if that's what you want. But yeah, no. Not only do I think going in blind was part of the problem, but just if you've seen any of the movies, those who know me best, if you've seen any of the movies that I've ever seen with sexual violence in them as a whole, people getting raped, said rapists always die. I don't give a shit if you're watching The Crow, I Spit on Your Grave, The Revenant, The Hills Have Eyes, Last House on the Left, Highlander. Any of those damn dirty, albeit fictitious, rapists die. And up until recently, I always thought that was not only a satisfying end, because they can't rape anybody else later on, but I always thought that it was the right thing, going out there. Especially since I also stand by my opinion that rape is easily the only crime, if not one of the only crimes, that just can't be justified at all. I mean, if you steal something, it could be just because, what if you're destitute? Just have the cops scan it. You remember that one Family Guy where Joe was running after some dude who stole like a can of soup or something? I think in hindsight, they did a Little House on the Prairie or whatever, went back, paid for it, and just gave it back or whatever, Something like that. And if you kill, it could just as easily be in either self-defense or defense of a loved one. I mean, the way I see crime is theft down here. Anything drugs, dealing, selling, using, murder. And you can't see it because it's high up, but yeah, rape. Molestation is just a tier under that. So, yeah, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that rape is bad, but when it's in a movie, is it really? Especially, not that it justifies the actions of Alex, obviously not. He's a piece of shit at the end of the day. But I'm starting to see why people, goth or not, enjoy the movie as much as they do. Because, yeah, not only... It really just depends on your intelligence. I mean, on one hand, you got people who see it as this beautiful... I hesitate to use the word beautiful, but they see it as this gray area study on the human mind and something so deep and vast, where they see, which is worse, because I went in blind, I didn't realize that it all had to do with the title, because I guess I'm just an uncultured, stupid American, or something, as Paul would say, Edmund, you know what I mean. I'm losing my mind here, it's probably the quarantine. But yeah, they'll see it as this gray area study of, which is worse, to force someone to change or to let them be who they naturally are. Which I think, on that level, with that moral in question, I think a lot of goths can understand that, especially those that just grow up in overly religious families. They're gonna be, they're gonna have parents that are, overbearing, over-inquisitive, paranoid even. I once heard a story about somebody whose Jack Skellington drawings and sketches or whatever were torn out of the book and burned or something. This person was trying to get cleansed by their elders or whatever. It was the stupidest shit. But I can understand that. But I didn't know that he was a youth gang member. I didn't know that it was supposed to be as politically driven as it was, which, fuck politics. But yeah, no. They must have done something right if so many, especially women, of all people, seem to care for it as much as they do. Obviously not all of them. I'm well aware that there's plenty of them that don't. More than plenty of them. But for some reason or another, maybe not some reason, I guess when he was, back when he was a spring chicken, Malcolm McDowell wasn't the worst looking dude ever. I'll notice every once and again some comments saying, "Oh my god, Alex is so cute." And just this is just some of the people I saw on the internet cosplaying as Alex himself that happened to be, sheep people, both young and old. Just take a look at these women. Clearly, the movie must have done something right if it's got that sort of an influence, especially on the one group of people you would expect to be the most appalled by it. I'm just tired of being bitter. And if the movie really was intended to be something, as the trailer suggests, as witty and as comedic, or even as, just weird, as it really is so much, that, it's better to focus on it like that than just, it's a 2 hour movie, and as soon as I don't know how I was looking, I don't know how I looked at the moment of reacting to the rape scene, but, it's just, to this day, the gang fight is my favorite part of the movie, just because he's doing some, albeit unintentional, level of good, saving a would-be rape survivor. Enjoy the good that villains unintentionally do while you can, because, like I said, it's unintentional, so it's not going to last, but especially in fiction. But to this day, it's still funny as hell just to see them going. Somebody commented on one of the gang fight videos saying, "Oh, couldn't you just see this happening in like a '60s Batman with all the blammo and blam, or those whatever those were, especially with the sound effects." Yeah, no, it's but when it's a 2 hour movie, so I just spent that whole time, subsequently after the home invasion and rape of this author's wife, just glaring at the screen, like hoping like hell, foaming at the mouth. Why isn't this guy dead? Why hasn't anyone killed this guy yet? But that's not the point. Okay, the point was supposed to study the characters, not just tell a story. I guess that's why so many people hated The Lighthouse. But, yeah, no, I just... There's also a very stark contrast between the gang violence of then versus now as well. So I guess that's part of the reason why it just never occurred to me that, oh, hey, maybe these assholes are just dirty fucking gang people that rape, kill, steal their way to the top. I didn't know that. I mean, who do you know that does that this day and age? Who do you know that looks and talks and thinks that way? Well, maybe not thinks. Anymore. So I guess that's just further evidence to suggest that their dystopian, futuristic world is a bit more relevant to, then as opposed to now. Because I'd wager if it were a little more relevant to now, they wouldn't be wearing those cod pieces on their dicks. They'd be wearing them on their faces. What with the shortage of these. And which kind of gives a new meaning to the phrase nadsat, which is the name of their slang that they use. Which sounds an awful lot like NADSAC now that there's, as it stands, not that I want to, not saying that, women themselves never end up getting oppressed anymore. Obviously they do. It's just, in America especially, there seems to be a growing unawareness of anything that happens, to a guy. In the words of Bill Burr, let's see if I can do his voice. Not saying women's problems get solved, but at least they're taken seriously. You got ribbons, you got groups, you got 1-800 numbers. People care. If anything ever happens to a guy, it's either A, considered funny, B, he did something to deserve it, or C, all of the above. And it's because of movies like this that, it just feels like they're giving all guys, especially if there is this many goths out there that like it, goth guys, that do like it, a bad name. Just male sexuality in and of itself is so, hated by American mainstream society, maybe mainstream society as a whole. Although there are plenty of hypocrisies to, you know, the women's issues of today. Like the bitch and whine back in 2015. You remember how Wonder Woman came out and they were bitching and moaning about how she didn't have hairy pits? Meanwhile, there's women over in the Middle East that are getting raped, killed, and beaten on the daily. And when those guys aren't doing it to their women, they're doing it with their camels. You think any American women... Well, there's probably a few. But do you think any American women give a shit about those women? Methinks that's not the case. But yeah, no, I'm tired of being bitter. There's already plenty of fucked upness in the future. I mean, as bad as it is that not only do real gangs still exist, I mean, obviously they don't talk the same anymore. I mean, they went from going, hi there, me little droogies, to, yo, what's up, motherfucker? Followed by some convoluted little handshake or whatever. But, yeah, no, it's, with enough fucked upness that's going on right now in the world, enough debauchery, I'm fully prepared to say that at least fictitious violence is better than the real thing. Because, A, it's fake. I mean, I'm a fan of horror films, for Christ's sake. You think this Punisher shirt just, you know, this was a gift. Okay, believe me, I believe in, if it's fictitious, retribution. It's definitely satisfying. But I think it's because Alex lives at the end that it makes it more believable. But because people don't change. Even at the end, some people think, it's pretty ambiguous as to whether or not the treatment, the Ludovico technique fixed him or not. It didn't fix him. If he learned anything from that, it was control. And maybe a better way of, being the brown nose that he turned out to be later on. But even if it sounds like a Joker-esque thing to say, I used to think everything was such a tragedy, now that it's a comedy. I'm tired, I'm tired of being bitter. I don't want to be known for wishing like hell that someone would go full Taxi Driver or full Eric Draven on the world's population of rapists or molesters or murderers or anything. Making duct tape mummies of them, sticking them to the wall, just going down the hallway, blowing them all away, spraying them with an Uzi, wearing a hula skirt's worth of magazines just so they never run out of ammo. I want to be remembered for my jokes, I want to be remembered for making fun of Count Patafi's laugh by dumping a bunch of lozenges down my cake hole. I want to be remembered for my memes. I want to be remembered for literally playing God on my bed. Look for the video, it'll make more sense. But yeah, no. It's, I'm definitely more neutral about the movie now, just because it's fictitious. But I definitely think that, You think I don't know, as a member of the horror community, that, there's way too many people out there taking movies way too seriously? They're movies. Nothing happened. It's fiction. There was way too many people in the UK who wanted like hell for Kubrick in and of himself to ban, Clockwork Orange for as long as they did, giving him death threats, him and his family death threats, just before he hadn't even finished Barry Lyndon yet, and they're already threatening to kill him over a movie. Sound an awful lot like what happened with the Slender Man stabbing? Movies don't create psychos, they just make psychos more creative. Wes Craven, 1996. No, actually, that was Brian Ray Trout. Well, I didn't take things too far, but I definitely just took things too seriously. Live a little, laugh a little. We're already in a fucked up state of pandemic as it is. Last thing we need is somebody bitching about a movie that's 50 years old almost. Half a century old. So if you like, please like. Feel free to share obscure little thoughts in the comments below, as well as to share the video itself. Subscribe if you wish to see more. I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. Paul! What the devil have you done? Hi there, old brothers. I done did video me a movie now, I did. English gentlemen sound nothing of that sort. I say. Wait a minute. Isn't he just wearing the shirt to my Wolfman suit?
Oh, by God, it is!
God, I wish he was still wearing that crow makeup. All I'd have to do is kick off the hat, and then you look just as much like Pennywise as you sound.